What's up, everybody? Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you some brand new action figure reviews. Today we are taking a look at the DC Multiverse Hellbat Armored Batman and the Superman Unchained Armored Superman. These are, of course, from McFarlane Toys. We've looked at a couple of these already, the animated Green Lantern and the comic book Batman, so you should definitely check out those reviews. I'll leave a link in the description. But today we've got a 2-for-1 special. Got both of the Armored Boys off of Amazon. Unfortunately, my comic book Superman got delayed, but I was really happy to get both of these guys. I've already taken them out of the packaging and they are just so big, and they honestly have some surprisingly good articulation. But before we get into that, let's take a quick look at the package here. You can see on the side, it tells you what you're getting. Superman Unchained armor, Batman Hellbat suit. On the back, you've got the promo images of the figures, which this suit is from the New 52, and then this is from Superman Unchained, which I don't think was necessarily a part of the New 52, if I remember correctly. I read like one issue of this, and I just was kind of so-so on it. You can see here other figures in the wave. Nothing crazy on the bottom here. On the top, nothing else really going on. So we're going to get these guys open, and we're going to take a look at their accessories and then the figures themselves. And first, for the accessories, we of course have the stands and the trading cards that are still locked behind plastic. Of course, all of Wave 1 is going to be like this. I'm sure most people are fine with this as well. But I, of course, like I said in every review, I hate when companies do this and you have to tear apart the nice backdrop just to get to a stand, which their stands aren't that great, so I'm really not that upset, and I could really care less about the trading cards. And starting with Superman, we have two wings right here. These are pretty much the only accessories that are included with either figure. If we take a close look at the wings, they do have some nice little details on them. The paint is less than stellar. You can see it gets pretty sloppy, and there's a little dot right there. Same thing on this side. The paint could definitely be a lot better, but it is a really minor part of the figure, and once you get it plugged in and everything, I don't think you're really going to notice. This wing is just more of the same. They look pretty cool. I mean, there's nothing special about them, but they're cool. And these just plug in on the back of the figure like so. Kind of got to twist it in there, and it is one of those ball joints where you can sort of choose the articulation and which direction you really want it to go. So there you go. That's a look at the back of the figure and the wings, how they sit on the figure. We'll get more into that in a minute, because now we're taking a look at Batman's wings, and you can see here that it is folded up and it actually folds out, and you get two of these. Absolutely no paint apps on them at all. It's just pure black plastic, and they look okay. I think the details on the figure more than make up for these lackluster wings, because there absolutely are no details on these. They're pretty boring, not gonna lie, but they do serve their purpose well. And to put the wings on, it's pretty much the exact same concept, except for on Batman, it is very specific how you put them in. You can see that these pieces are flattened, so when you put it in, you're not gonna be able to move it, but you can readjust it by just putting it in and angling it differently. So that is kind of neat. And then there's a quick look right here, but I'll show you more details. Let's get into both of the figures. All right, and here is Hellbat. We're gonna start out with him. I tried to fit both of them on my little rotating base, and it was just not having it. So we're going one at a time here. And as you can see, as he's rotating around, he actually has some really, really nice detailing going on with the red lining in the suit. There are some issues I have with this particular figure. However, I think it is pretty minor, and this figure actually surprised me quite a bit. So let's go ahead. We're going to take him off the stand and take a closer look. Just taking a look at Batman, though, to focus on him, you can see there's lots of really great sculpt work, really nice paint application, some subtle paint application as well, really nice dry brushing, particularly on the shoulders and the wrists, which I'll show you in greater detail. But I was definitely not expecting this level of detail and sculpt work, especially when you consider that these figures are significantly bigger than a standard McFarlane DC Multiverse, which I'll show you comparisons later in the video. But these guys are also the same exact price. They are not any more expensive. They are still the $19.99 price, so that is insane. So let's keep that in mind when we're going through on this review. They even went above and beyond and painted the back side of the figure. What's up, Hasbro? Your move. All right, but let's get in real close here. You can see that the emblem right here is actually sculpted off the chest, and all of these lines everywhere on the figure are all actually sculpt work with paint filled in with them. And after I just took a second to adjust his torso, you can just see the awesome amount of detail going down. The red on the belt, it kind of does look a little orangey on camera, but it is decently red in real life. And you can see here, just look at the gauntlets. Take a look at that paint application on there. That looks so good. The details are just popping right out of that. I love it. Love the way this turned out. Same thing with the shoulders here. Just looking really great. Really awesome details all across the board. Man, I'm so surprised at how awesome these figures are. I really was not expecting much, but here I am almost buying the complete wave one. Same thing on the knees, more of that dry brushing and really nice sculpt work right in there. Very mechanical, looks very nice, pretty accurate to the suit if I recall correctly, although I don't believe it was as bulky. You can see down here even some more red paint for these little jet boosters, I would assume is what those are. And then the feet down here too feature more of that dry brushing detail, and that is just so awesome. Cannot believe how good the details turned out on this Batman. And we didn't even really take that much time to take a look at the head sculpt, but even that just looks so good. I love the design of this suit. It looks so awesome. Although I'm not familiar with it completely, I just love some interesting Batman designs, and this is definitely one of them. And it just features a ton of really nice details. And for only $20, absolutely insane. So let's go ahead, we're gonna take a look at his articulation. All right, so I removed the wings for this part. You can see that his head really does not go up at all, and it goes down just a little bit. If we look at it from the front here, it does. You can get a little attitude out of it, little side to side here. Of course, it will rotate around. And same thing with like most of these new McFarlane figures. The top half of this head right here is nice hard plastic that's sculpted, and on the back it's a little soft piece right here, softer plastic that just gives you a little bit more range in the articulation, although it's not much on the Hellbat suit. The pauldrons on his shoulders are articulated. They do swing and they do even move up and down, so they do not get in the way of the articulation at all. And you can see that these shoulders come completely out. There is the butterfly joint as well in the figure. You have bicep rotation right here. A single jointed elbow that gives you 90 degrees. That just looks so good. Really impressed that they managed to pack all of that articulation in these figures as well, and it still works despite them being pretty bulky. For the wrist, you get a swivel, and of course it can move up and down, and I'm pretty sure just like the other joints, you can rotate these around. They do have independent rotation, but it's a little bit harder to move, at least on Hellbat, because he's so spiky and it just kind of hurts. So you have the upper diaphragm cut right here, and then you also have the lower one that is a little bit of a pain to move on this Batman, because again, he is so spiky and it is so thin down here at his torso. It, you know, comes to a point, it's a very hourglass looking shape. So it is a little bit hard to move the lower half, but you still get tons of articulation out of that. And let's see the crunch. Not really much of a crunch. See the crunch back. Not really that far back either. So the crunch is pretty much non-existent on this guy, but you do get just a little bit. And of course, the rotation on both spots is still there. The legs, you get a thigh cut, and they can go out that far. Absolute split madness. I wonder if he'll just stand like this because his foot's so big. It'd kind of be hilarious. Oh, there we go. So the balance game's on point with this Hell Knight. You could have him Hell Knight, Hellbat. You could have him doing some serious kung fu poses. He does have double jointed knees, which actually work pretty well. That's awesome considering how bulky the leg is. The ankle joints are a little awkward, but you do get the ankle pivot out of that, and they can go down just a little bit, and they can go up pretty far. And you also get a really awesome toe hinge that's hidden by this little armor plating. So that's a nice little hidden detail there. So this Hellbat suit is pretty awesome so far. Really liking the details on the figure. And I also think the articulation is pretty good as well. But out of these two, he is not my favorite. So let's talk about Superman. All right, and here is Superman on the rotating stand, and he just looks fantastic. Look at that shiny metallic painting throughout the figure, the blue and the red S, along with the more dull red paint. Just, this figure's color scheme looks so nice. Everything just pops out on it. And there's even painted details on the back here. Just love the cool blue of the suit design. Of course, he does look rather villainous. Like I said earlier in the review, I did not read the comic book, but I don't know if this is actually Superman, or if this is like someone else. But despite a villainous design, I think it looks really awesome. The helmet details look great. So let's go ahead and take him off the stand and get a closer look. Okay, so here we are with a close look at the details, and just look at that helmet. That is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. This looks so 90s it hurts, but it's honestly not from the 90s. It's from 2014, I believe. Just take a peek at the details of the helmet. The design is really interesting, and this is something that McFarlane always excels at. Characters without faces, armored looking characters. They've always looked so fantastic, and this Superman just looks incredible. I love the red paint that they put on the S, contrasting with the dull matte black paint behind the logo, and of course the candy paint. The blue looks so good throughout the figure, and the sort of shiny but not so glossy red plastic is just a nice contrast throughout the figure. And there is some really incredible sculpt work on here. These boots look really nice. Really like the details and how they turned out on them. Again, more of that matte black right here just to give that figure some detail. And this is, again, only a $20 figure. The level of paint application detail and sculpt work on this is absolutely insane. He even has some like neck veins that looks like he's like tightening his neck around right there. And I love these like shoulder pads that look like they lead into the cape, which for this Superman, it is actually a pretty neat thing here, but you can kind of make him look like he is just having a cape by putting his wings down. But of course the wings can go out and go all the way to the back, and of course they have the independent rotation like I was talking about, so you can really move them anywhere. But I do kind of just like having them down in more of like a tribute to a Superman cape mode. But again, back to the S and the sculpt work on the underneath part of the suit. There is little line works to make it look like a suit, almost a little bit of a Halo vibe coming from this figure, and that really makes me wish that McFarlane still was making Halo figures. So I never thought I'd miss them, but then Mattel got a hold of the license and said, hold my beer. But yeah, I'm just really digging the details on this figure. I think they turned out so well. The mask, the helmet, the design, everything just looks so good. Really, McFarlane knocked it out of the park with this armored design. So let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation. And starting with the head as usual, he can actually look up a pretty decent amount, and he can look down pretty far as well. The wings on the helmet are a softer plastic, so you don't have to worry about those snapping off. They seem like they're going to be pretty okay if he takes a fall. But you also get some head rotation, of course, side to side, and plenty of attitude as well, so that is really nice. Look at that. That's why it's like he's almost like a villain. You can just have him in such villainous poses. Of course, these shoulders do move all the way out just fine, and he does also have the butterfly joint, which works okay. The big chest sculpt work definitely seems to get in the way just a little bit, but it's really not all that bad. Of course, you get the bicep swivel as well, the single jointed elbow that gives you 90 degrees, the McFarlane wrist joints where you can choose your articulation, and either have it going up and down or going side to side. I don't know why, and this seems to be a thing across a couple McFarlane figures. I don't know why this Superman has trigger fingers. And same thing, I didn't mention it in my animated Green Lantern review, but he also has trigger fingers. And I'm just kind of confused. Like, why not just make him fists, or why not just give us open hands? Because I don't really think he's gonna be holding a gun. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird to give Superman trigger fingers. But anyways, back to the crunch. Let's take a look here. The crunch forward is non-existent. The crunch back is also pretty much non-existent. So the crunch really isn't working out for either the Hellbat suit or the Superman suit, but I think you still can get a decent amount out of it if you really wanted to. Like, I don't think that's not too terrible of a crunch right there. Of course, the middle cod piece right here is a little bit of a softer plastic, so it's not going to inhibit the articulation. The legs can kick out really far. They can go to the side really far as well. Let's see if he can balance as well as Hell Knight. I'm sure... Keep calling him Hell Knight. Hellbat. Sure, if I took the wings off, he could probably balance just as well. He also has a double knee. That works okay. I don't think it's as much range as the Batman, but this boot design is a little bit bulkier. Of course, you do also have the thigh swivel, which is frozen on both of my figures. Or actually, no, it doesn't. I guess that is the amount of swivel that you get out of this guy. So not too much for a thigh swivel. Then moving down, you can see that the feet can go down just a little bit. They can go up just a little bit. And he also has the toe hinge. So overall, the articulation is a little limited. I think it's a little bit more limited on Superman, but I just love the design of this costume and the paint application and the details. So let's go ahead. We're going to compare both of them to some other figures, some Marvel Legends, some other DC stuff. All right, so first here they are next to a couple other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures, the animated Green Lantern and comic book Batman, both of which have been reviewed on this channel. Check them out. Then next to the Black Series Carbonized Mandalorian and the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Goldar. Then we've got the 1/12 Ascending Knight Mezco Batman and the Color Tops McFarlane Spawn. Then we have a NECA AVP Predator and the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And finally, we have the NECA SDCC Armored Batman and Superman. So in conclusion, I think both of these figures are great additions to the DC Multiverse line. Might even be my favorite so far out of all the ones that I have purchased. The size and details are amazing on these figures. The paint application is really nice. Of course, they pretty much do not include any accessories, but they are still the same price point as the rest of the line. So I think that the trade-off for more details and a bigger figure instead of accessories is a-okay with me. So yeah, head out, pick them up. Hopefully you can find them. I know I've been struggling to find anything in the wild, and thankfully I had these pre-ordered like I mentioned earlier in the video. But as for the wild, I have not seen these guys at all. I personally recommend these figures, and I don't even really know much about them. I just think that they are pretty cool designs and they were pretty well executed in terms of their action figure form. So what do you guys think of the figures? Let's talk in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed my review, don't forget to leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers, and it would be awesome to hit that sooner than later. So if you enjoyed my review, share this video with your friends. And for all the latest in action figure reviews and news, you're already in the right spot. I'm Nate from Out of the Basement. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.